Our next presentation is unique. Cheryl Fullerton has a passion for birds. She has rescued many birds over the years and has made it her mission to educate others on their care. Tonight she will introduce us to Blanca and Dali Karma. Blanca and Dali Karma are seasoned performers. Blanca conducted 300 presentations a year for 12 years and is very accustomed to audiences of all types. They are excited to perform for you, so let's welcome Birds of a Feather.
Hello, my name is CJ. I'm also known as Cheryl. This is Blanca, and this is Dali Karma. Blanca is a Moluccan cockatoo, and Dali is a umbrella cockatoo. Blanca is the one that we're going to talk about. We're not going to do any sort of dog and pony show. He doesn't act. He just sits here and is presenter. Sometimes he has been known to fly and show you what parrots do, but we're the fourth family to have Blanca. Blanca was originally you can't do that. He was originally with somebody in California that became ill and had to give him up after 12 years. Next, he went to somebody who rescued raptors. She actually rescued the Exxon Valdez eagles. And so for 5 years, he was with her until the husband said, either me or the bird, because he kept escaping. His name was Houdini, and every time she'd leave, he would escape and terrorize the husband. So she finally, and also he would disconnect, chew the wire through the dryer, through the electrical outlet, so the person who used to come out, the electrician, would know exactly what he was coming out for. So Blanca next home was another person who rescued raptors in Clinton, Connecticut, and her name was Hope. And she was with Wind Over Wing. Some of you may know her. She moved to Maine. Hope had him for 12 years, and she had him in a show that was showing the difference between raptors and what parrots do. Parrots bring their food and how they fly, and he was the most requested bird that she had of all of her birds, her eagles, hawks, and so forth, and owls. And what I want to tell you is, if you don't know birds or parrots or citizens, I want to tell you about how intelligent they are and how I found out how they were intelligent they are through Blanca. And he does all sorts of things. But anyway, the first story I want to tell you is about Blanca, to tell you about how intelligent he was, is when he was displaced from California to Wisconsin, he was very, very, very unhappy. They get very depressed. And so when they get depressed, he had a cat, and it was a black cat. So Marge, the woman, said, I'm going to go get him a cat. Maybe that'll make him happy, because the cat couldn't go with him. So she brings home a white cat. And immediately he turns his back on the cat. And he says, Blanca, I brought you a cat. I thought you'd be happy. He goes, no. She goes, but Blanca, I knew that how much you loved your cat. And I thought this would make you happy and that you wouldn't be so depressed. And he said, no, I don't like the cat. So she said, but Blanca, you know, I thought this would make you happy. Why don't you like the cat? Wrong color. And I heard this story, and I go, okay, all right. Well, the second story I want to tell you is about, you can't grab the mic, he'll do that. The second story I want to tell you is about the third person who had him was going to do a presentation at a facility, and the person who had the facility wanted to hear what she was going to talk about. So he said, could you and Blanca come to my cocktail party that my wife is having? So Blanca goes with Hope as her date, and they're sitting there and eating crackers and drinking, and the lady said, the hostess said, would you like to have something to drink? Would Blanca like something to drink? And she said, well, ask him. She says, well, Blanca, would you like something to drink? And he said, of course, to wash the crackers down. Well, the woman got very, very indignant and said, I can't believe this bird actually knows what he's saying, that he can communicate what he's saying. Well, Hope said, well, do you have animals? Yes. How about it? You have a dog? Yes. Well, doesn't your dog communicate what it wants, to go outside, to drink water? Well, yes, but I still find it very difficult that this bird understands what he's communicating. Well, Blanca's listening to all this, and his response was, stupid, stupid, stupid. So I'm sure everybody there was thinking the same thing. He didn't say yes. He said, of course, to wash the crackers down. Well, needless to say, they weren't invited to do the presentation. The next story I want to tell you is when Marge came into town, the woman from Wisconsin. She was doing a presentation in Old Seabrook about the Exxon Valdez eagles that she rescued, and was doing a presentation about the circumstances. So he wasn't invited to the presentation because he steals the show. So we told him, we'd had him 2 months, and we told him he was our forever home and that he was going to go see Marge and going to go to Hope's house, that he was going to come home, that he wasn't going to leave with either with them or stay with Hope, and that he was to tell us when he wanted to come home. Well, I'm observing all this, and he goes up to the porch and he sees Marge, and first thing he said, hello, and she said, hello, and the next thing he said is, it's been a long time. And I went, oh my God. The next thing he does is he asks her about her husband. And I'm going, how does this bird remember these facts? The next thing he does, I'm observing him and trying to carry on a conversation, is he touches her fingers with his tongue. That's how they feel. He touched every one of her fingers, and he came back to one. He says, that's new. And she said, yes, I didn't have that ring when I knew you. And I'm still listening to him. Anyway, for an hour or so, they continue with the conversation, and he tells us he's ready to go. Well, the last story I want to tell you about is intelligence, and I have lots and lots of stories, and we're going to be out in the lobby, so if anybody wants to take pictures or talk to us. The last story I want to tell you is that every Thanksgiving he gets to go back to the family that, the last family that had him that lives in Maine, and he's invited to Thanksgiving dinner. And the first time that we had him, to go back, she had a cocktail party in his honor and sent out invitations because everybody wants to meet this bird because she tells stories about him. So I'm getting him, prepping him every day of the week, saying you've got to be good, you can't yell, you can't scream, you can't bite, you've got to mind your manners. And he's talking to me, and I'm coaching him. And the next thing out of his mouth, and we do not have any radios or TVs upstairs where he lives, he said, I hope you have your snow tires on. And I'm going, what? So I turned to my husband, and I said, do you know anything about the weather? He said, no, I haven't heard anything about a storm. He looks at the latest weather report and finds out that there's going to be a snowstorm. 2 hours later, our guest calls our hostess and said, the highway's been closed. The highway patrol has closed the highway because there's so much snow. So just to let you know, if you know parrots, you know how intelligent they are. Birds of all type are extremely, extremely intelligent. I get a lot of displaced birds because they live for so long. He's going to live to be 75 if we're lucky. He's 42 now. The longest is 105, so people who get them don't realize how expensive, noisy they are, okay, as well as they have a long, long life. So after 25 years, they decide to travel, they get rid of their birds. So just to let you know, your life would be very much enhanced if you ever had a bird in your family of any type. And I'll be out in the lobby so you can get my name, my number, and my husband and I are great references, but there's a lot of help out there if you do want to have a bird. So Blanca and I and Dolly want to thank you and hope that you enjoyed our presentation.